One person is dead and several others were injured on a Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore. Now, Thai authorities say that the deceased is a 73-year-old British national who had a heart condition. The flight encountered severe turbulence and was diverted to Bangkok. After landing in Thailand, 18 passengers were hospitalized while 12 others were treated at hospitals. Among them, 7 were critically injured. A flight SQ321 carried 211 passengers and 18 crew on board. In a statement, Singapore Airlines said that they are providing all necessary assistance and are sending a team to Thailand to provide additional aid. It also apologized to passengers and crew for the traumatic experience. The Boeing 777-300ER took off from Heathrow, headed for Singapore. The flight, it usually takes around 13 hours to reach its destination. It landed in Bangkok at 3:45 p.m. local time. Passengers recorded Thai authorities removing a body from the aircraft before driving him away. On the tarmac, some people were taken out of the plane on wheelchairs, while others were gathered under tents to have injuries treated. In a Facebook post, Transport Minister Chee Hong Tat said that the relevant ministries and organisations are providing support to the affected passengers and their families. For more, we're joined now by our correspondent May Wong. She is standing by at the Samithiwit Sinakarin Hospital. It is in Bangkok. May, what have Bangkok airport authorities been sharing about what happened on SQ321 this afternoon?
The news conference that was held by the airport authorities was held inside the airport, right about half an hour to 45 minutes away from this hospital. Now, what they have revealed is that they have confirmed that one person has died, which you mentioned, a 73-year-old British man. I understand also from airport authorities that he also suffered from heart disease. In addition to that, also 30 people have suffered injuries. 7 of them are of severe condition. One of them, the airport authorities revealed, actually had a cracked head. All of these people are being treated in the hospital, whether or not it's at this hospital that I'm in right now or in other hospitals that are closer to them. They are being taken care of and they are being looked after. Now, earlier in the emergency room over there, I did see a number of the potential passengers, even though I can't confirm it because the hospital does not want to confirm it. But I saw them holding on to their baggages, their hand carry-on baggages, and they pulled it up here. And I could tell that there was also one young boy among the supposed victims of that plane incident. Now, we don't know the rest of the nationalities simply because the airport authorities said that they are not going to reveal that as they are investigating the situation. The airport authorities also said that they will speak to the pilots to get to the bottom of this. They will have a thorough inspection of the Boeing 777-300ER plane and also to go through every aspect of the plane and also to go through every process of the plane. The airport authorities did reveal that when it happened over the Thai airspace, and therefore the plane requested for an emergency landing here in Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport. The incident also happened during flight food service, and that was when the meals were being served to the passengers on board, and therefore you may have some passengers who did not have their seat belts on while they were eating. Hence, we are talking about some injuries. Some are extremely severe, as I mentioned. Some are also minor, but however, they are being taken to the hospital to have them looked at this point in time. We will, of course, provide you with more information as soon as the hospital provides them and as soon as the airport authorities come up with even more information at this stage.
Right, May. So the hospital, understandably discreet at this point in time. But what is the situation like at the hospital where passengers are being treated? The ones as well who are not critically injured. There are other passengers there who've been hospitalized.
Indeed. Well, earlier I saw at least 10 or 15 ambulances coming through here into this hospital. They were actually escorted by police outriders to make sure that they're coming into the hospital as soon as possible without having to meet any traffic situation. I understand that they were ferried over to the emergency side of this hospital where the media, obviously, we've not been allowed to go in there. In fact, you can't see right now, but police officers have been deployed around this area to make sure that they are going to ensure law and order. In fact, earlier when I spoke to the police officer, he said that he went over there, he went inside to the emergency area, had a look at the victims over there, and some of them who are seated in the emergency area, well, those are the ones who are suffering from minor injuries, which will be taken care of as well. But he said that those who were seated in there, they were in wheelchairs, and obviously they didn't seem too disturbed at this point, and they seem to be pretty visibly to be pretty stable at this stage. However, he says that the top priority right now is to take care of all who are in the hospital and also to take care of whatever needs that they require, and also to make sure that they are comfortable, because at the end of the day, the police as well as the hospital staff and all the Thai authorities are here to service all these people who have been affected by this particular incident. We are obviously waiting for the hospital to provide us with updates on how severe the injuries are, how many of the injured are actually here being treated at the hospital, and also what do the doctors have to say about that. But here, remember, when we talk about a severe air turbulence, it's not very uncommon that you would hear of that. You would go through that periodically. However, this has actually resulted in injuries and now fatality as well. And when we talk about air turbulence, we're talking about the fact that if you're not belted, it's very easy for you to actually be hoisted up from your seats and actually hit the roof of the airplane. And you see a lot of the debris in terms of the meals, for example, being overthrown inside the plane. And also, if you have small children in a plane, well, those are also extremely, particularly concerning, simply because they would be more susceptible to more difficult as well as more severe injuries. But at this stage, again, the hospital has not revealed any information about the injured who have been sent over here.
May, thank you for that update. May Wong there reporting live for us from the Sammitiwit Sinakarin Hospital in Bangkok. Singapore Airlines has more than 20 Boeing 777 planes in service. The aircraft operates on medium to long-haul routes. SIA's Boeing 777-300ER has a 4-class configuration with around 260 seats. It's more than 70 metres long with a wingspan of nearly 65 metres. The jets in this fleet have an average age of about 14 years. For more analysis now, we're joined in the studio by Michael Daniel. He's Managing Director of Aviation Insight. Michael, welcome to the studio. First of all, looking at the flight path of this incident, let's pull up an image that we have from FlightAware earlier. And looking at this, the fact that there was a steep descent at some point, there has been some sort of reference to this in the media already. We see that there is this steep descent. What's your interpretation of what happened?
Okay, well, the open source information that was provided does show the descent. But the question is, was it a true rapid descent because of the weather? It could be more indicative of the pilots flying in reaction to the weather.
Right.
Because at that amount of feet descent plus the time may not be subjected because of the downdraft, if you will. It could be more indicative of the pilots reacting to the weather there situation.
So it could indicate certain actions that the pilots may have been taking as a result of that turbulence. So the severe turbulence that we're talking about, I mean, we have heard about things like clear air turbulence. If that were the case, it would be perhaps a different kind of turbulence to something produced by a storm, as an example. How severe was this turbulence? Do we know? Well, it was quite severe because of the resultant fatality and the number of injuries to the passengers. I can tell you this will be classified as an accident because the requirement is fatality and serious injuries. So now the course of the investigation will look into the situational awareness of the crew. What information did they have at the time? Were they prepared for penetration of the thunderstorms? And how would they have reacted to that? I will also tell you that looking at the airline, how they react to this situation, they're following their emergency response plan, which is what they're required to do.
But again, the investigators from the investigation board will be looking at situational awareness of the crew.
Have we seen a precedent to this, though, in terms of the number of injuries and also there's one fatality at this time? It's not a common thing that we see. We hear about turbulence, but not to this extent.
That's correct. It's not a common occurrence because aviation safety is very safe, and it's very rare to have an accident, in particular to turbulence related. So, yeah, the accident investigation will include what are the probable causes. Was it mechanically induced? Was it weather-induced? Was it pilot-induced? The investigators will sort this out during the course of their investigation.
When we're looking at the types of injuries, I mean, you heard May referencing what can happen in a situation where a person is not wearing their seatbelt, perhaps, and there is sudden turbulence, or it's so severe that it causes a person to kind of, sort of be lifted out of their seat almost. And we've been told this repeatedly, even when we're seated, even when we're having meals on a plane, to keep our belts on.
That's right.
That's been common practice for years now.
Yes.
Minimizing such the injuries that might be caused by something like this. What else can you do other than have your seatbelt on?
Well, so going back to situational awareness, anticipating bad weather. So the pilots are trained to turn on the seatbelt sign. I understand that they turned it on shortly before the event actually occurred. It's interesting, though, that when you look at the meal service, most of the people standing up will be the crew members. So proportionally, they're going to be the ones most subjected to injuries. In this case, very severe injuries, because in this flight turbulence situation like this, they can be scattered about. I would also add, too, the service carts also can be going through the cabin space as well. Not just people, but the service carts, which are quite heavy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't know who has been hospitalized at this point, but it is possible that there may be flight crew members involved as well, since they would have been serving at the time. Michael, what about what passengers can do from here? I mean, in terms of recourse that they could, how liable is the airline in a situation like this?
Well, the first part of the question, what can passengers do? Be very diligent. Anytime you're in the seat, not going to the restroom, not getting up, when you're in the seat, buckle up. That's it, whether the seatbelt sign is on or not, be diligent, buckle up, because you don't know, you can't sometimes anticipate the turbulence. Going back to the other question is about what are, let's say, airlines' liability. All airlines are required, commercial airlines are required to carry insurance. And so that's when you buy a ticket, you actually get the fine print about the insurance coverage.
Right. Well, the investigations into this will be ongoing, and we do know that there's a support team that is headed from SIA to Bangkok right now to deal with really the care of the passengers and their families, first of all. Michael, thank you so much for coming into the studio and talking to us about this. Michael Daniel, the Managing Director of Aviation Insight.